Welcome back to Clinical Communication. My name is Ben. I'm a specialist physio and clinical communication skills facilitator here in the UK. And today we're taking a deep dive into another book. This time it's on how we can have the most influence over the people we see, not just the patients, but other clinicians or people in our lives. And we'll be going through this book called The Influential Mind by Tali Sharot, and about what we can do or say or use to have greater influence over the people we see. The book may have come out in 2017, but it is still relevant today as it was then, and there are many things in it that you can do or use or say that can help you have a greater influence over the people that you see. The first thing to cover is what doesn't work. The big one, first of all, is that if people feel that they're being pushed into a decision or an outcome, or if their autonomy is being taken away from them, then they are less likely to move in that direction. Instead, we need to make them feel that they have autonomy. We're going through ways in a minute from the book about how we can give them the feeling of more autonomy. In addition, using fear and threats is often an ineffective way to get people to change their behavior and do something. It can lead to inaction or not doing something, but it's not effective to get someone to do something new or additional. Also, just throwing numbers and statistics at people, again, can be quite an ineffective way to change their beliefs, change their minds. Yes, it's fine when those stats or data supports our existing view, but if it's very opposite to what we believe and our thoughts, we're just going to probably reject it and just find counter arguments to them. And remember, like I've said in the past, we don't just form our beliefs from logic, we form it from emotions and thoughts as well. And of course, if someone opposes or doesn't agree with what you're saying, they'll often try to counteract or find counter evidence to what you're suggesting, which may in turn just ingrain their existing belief further. So in turn, as I said, we need different ways to go about influencing their beliefs. And if the beliefs we hold are entwined with other beliefs we have about ourselves or our identities, again, they're going to be harder to shift. One belief may just be one part of a bigger picture. Someone may hold a belief because they feel they need to have a certain image or they represent a certain group, and that belief is part of it. And just challenging that belief on its own may not be enough. There may be a wider picture that needs to be addressed. So in the book, Tali talks about how we form our beliefs and how they're changed. So what will happen is, let's say we get some new information. What we will do is we will take that new information and we will compare it against our existing beliefs and how much confidence we have in that belief. And in turn, we will then take that old belief and our confidence in it, and we'll compare it against the new evidence we have and our confidence in that. And whichever we have more confidence in, essentially will win. If we know from that judgment or internal thought that the internal belief is a knowledge gap, we don't know much, then we'll be open to that new information, especially if it's going to be helpful to us, or especially go along with our existing beliefs and ingrain them further. But we may not always want to know more information if it's going to make us feel more uncomfortable, because it's going to challenge our existing beliefs that form our identity. We may push away or ignore that information because it may make us go against our ingrained biases, our ingrained thoughts, our identities. We may not want to go there. But let's say this person is open to new information, their belief they have is not entwined with their identity, they're open to new ideas. How can we go about trying to influence those beliefs or ideas to help them move forwards? Well, one of the big suggestions Tali has is what I've said in the past about speaking with them at an emotional level similar to theirs. So I've said in the past, if you have someone who's very firm and direct, you can be firm and direct back to them. If you have someone who's quite analytical, like to take their time, and you can be quite analytical with them, be slow, give them lots of data. If you're someone who's quite emotional, very high energy, then you can be a bit more animated with them. If you're someone who's quite sad or quiet, then you can be slow down and quieter with them. How you deliver this information is in a way that suits them means it's more likely to be taken in as you intend for it to be taken in, and therefore more likely for them to influence their beliefs. Another way that Tali suggests that we can influence someone's beliefs, and as I've said in the past, is with choice. If someone has a feeling of choice, then again, they're going to feel like the decision and the change in beliefs is theirs. They have that greater feeling of autonomy. But remember, Don't make the choice too big, okay? An open-ended choice people can't always make a decision for. A few things is ideal, 2 or 3, which they can pick from. And it needs to be an easy choice. No, they need to have all the information. Don't make it too vague or uncertain. And some people may delegate the choice to someone else. It might be you, it might be a relative who they feel has their best interests or knows them well. But actually delegating can give us that feeling of control too. But using choice, again, can give that feeling of autonomy, so they're more likely to move along with that belief and have greater impact in the long term. Now, that's fine when we have someone who's open to new ideas or relatively flexible with their thinking. But what about people who have got really ingrained beliefs? Thoughts that aren't just going to shift with some information, some emotional buy-in. They're really ingrained. That's part of their identity. And they're not just going to give it up for the sake of some information or just for you. Well, Tali suggests that instead of fighting them, or instead of really pushing them to change their mind, which we know is just going to backfire and they're going to ingrain their beliefs further, she suggests if that belief's not going to shift, then form a new one. Okay? Form a new belief that can help in time overcome the existing one that's getting in the way. A simple example would be perhaps someone feels that going for runs or fast walks may be bad for their joints. And maybe they've spoken with lots of people in the past or seen it with their own eyes or read certain things that has ingrained that belief for whatever reason, even though we know from the data now that's not true. Well, instead of saying, and it's going to be okay, you're not going to wear out your joints, etc., which is just going to not shift much if it's really ingrained, you could shift the target slightly. You could say, well, would this activity be good for your heart and lungs? Help you get out and socialize more? How do you feel about doing it to get more fresh air? Whatever it is, whatever's relevant to their needs and goals, okay? But you're just moving the goalpost slightly. And in time, what will happen is they'll hopefully see, okay, I can do this, it is helping. And in turn, that, whether it's fear in this case or uncertainty, whatever the belief is overcome by the new belief. I can't tell you exactly what to say because there'll be a million situations in this and it'll need to be specific to the person in front of you. But just know that if someone's got a really ingrained belief and it doesn't appear like it's going to shift, then instead of forcing it or fighting it, try to form a new one. There are certain things from the book which I haven't covered today, but you can certainly go and read it. It's very easy to read and not too long either. And I find it very useful. If you found this useful, then please do go and share it with other people. Please do go and tell me what will make it better, what guests to get, what topics to cover. As always, thank you for listening, and I will speak to you or see you next time.